Before we get into the content today, just a quick reminder that if it resonates with you and you want to book in with me or my coaches, there is a free call booking link in the description. Enjoy. All right, so the top 10 traits that clients have come up with that they're looking for in a man, top 10 deal breakers, preferences. They're a little more deal breakery than nice to haves. These are not so much preferences, but there's a couple that might go down that road. Let's get into them. So number one. Now these are in no particular order, by the way, they're not ranked. So number one, this is in the category of emotional. And I always make my clients do their emotional deal breakers first because this category gets ignored. Every time, every single time women go, I know what I want financially, I know what I want physically. They're the main two. That's it. Oh, you know, socially I know what I want. Professionally I know what I want. What about emotionally? You can have all those things, but if the guy is emotionally unhealthy, it'll ruin your f***ing life. Seriously, it will. You do not want to ignore this category. I've had so many client ahas out of the emotional health category. Don't ignore it. So the first one, and there was a couple of good ones with this one, there was an honorable mention here. His emotions grow and evolve with the relationship. And I thought this was really insightful because it shows that our emotions are things that change. They are things we get better at, and they're not just stagnant. Often they get treated stagnant, it is what it is, but no, we can expand our emotional ranges. We can get comfortable with new levels of old emotions, and we can certainly grow and make ourselves more secure by becoming more emotionally intelligent. And this deal breaker just really speaks to that. I want a guy whose emotions are going to grow and to evolve and to become more comfortable and secure with the relationship. So that was a great one. The honorable mention here was the guy has a good emotional range. So this isn't one of the 10, but if a guy has a very narrow emotional range, let's say that he cannot tolerate one iota of fear. Just like fear can't go there, gets compartmentalized, put in a cupboard, put away. There we go, over there, don't want to feel any fear. Eventually that can cause problems because what do you do when that builds up too much? You drink, you attack back, you do some sort of firefighter type behavior that hurts the people around you to stop that fear coming up. All right, so that was number one. Number two, communication deal breaker. He is honest with me despite any discomfort it may cause. He is honest with me despite discomfort it may cause. And this is actually, I'll give some of the names here. This is from client Nicole. Nicole did a great job with this one. This is so important, and it's important because we all train ourselves in relationships to kind of protect our partner's feelings, to tell white lies, and it can be really uncomfortable being honest. Honesty is not easy. You gotta work at it really hard sometimes and be willing to be really uncomfortable to be honest. This was a great one. I think that it's also important that we as the receivers of the honesty play a part here too, because you can be honest with me even though it causes discomfort, but if I criticize you, if I attack you, I'm gonna train you out of that honesty. So it's just not a deal breaker for him, it's also a deal breaker for her, but very, very important for a healthy relationship. Number three, money. We all know the average money ones. I don't need to tell you those, but this was a good one from Rebecca who said he lives within his means and doesn't spend more than he makes. What a great deal breaker. Pretty self-explanatory. But you know, really any guy that does that consistently has financial potential long term. He doesn't have to make a lot of money, but if he's financially intelligent, lives within his means, that's a great way to open up your dating pool to a few more guys who are going to be financially successful, but maybe aren't quite there yet, but on the way. Number four, huge one from client Francesca, was a good circle of friends that are good influences. Jim Rohn always says you become like the 5 people you spend the most time around. And it's very, very true. You want to know how solid a guy is? Like, look at the guys he spends the most time around. That'll probably give you a good indication. Great one to look for, Francesca. Number 5, he has his masculine purpose and his direction in life. Ladies, if you want a man who's not going to fuck you around, if you want a guy who is going to be solid with you, then he needs to be solid with himself. A masculine can't handle a feminine if he doesn't have a purpose to ground him. This lack of purpose or purposelessness is one of the biggest causes I see of men being erratic, of frustration from women, of him being insecure and really, frankly, not being able to show up for a relationship. So if you get a guy, great one from, this was from Nicolette, great one, if he has his masculine purpose and direction in life, whew. Number 6, this is in the category of health and physical. Instead of the muscles and the abs and the handsome, dark complexion. He knows when it's time to see a doctor. He doesn't put off his medical problems. That is just bloody fantastic, and all men need to be held to that standard. Number 7. I've got a couple of stats here before I go to number 7. Women are 100% better at screening and preventative care. 100% better. And they're 33% better, more likely rather, to visit the doctor. So there you go. That's why that one matters. Number 7 is willingness to go to therapy. I think this is an absolute deal breaker. I would encourage every man to have this deal breaker as well. It's just such a relationship saver, especially if you do it preemptively rather than reactively. Being able to sit down, confront your stuff, which by definition means admitting that you're imperfect and being secure enough to admit that you're imperfect. I think that says a lot. That says a lot about someone's ability to be a partner, and I think it's a great deal breaker. That was from Anya. Number 8 is sexual deal breakers. I had some interesting ones in this category, but I picked this one because I actually think this is a really great one for the world, which is for him to have equal responsibility for birth control. I think that's a fantastic one. I definitely agree with that one. That is my opinion, but I think that that often gets left to the woman way too often. The guy doesn't really play a part of it, and it sort of becomes the woman's problem. And if you're a team, I think that is definitely something that the man can take on and should have a responsibility for. He's just as responsible as her, but I do think men can weasel out of that at times. So that's number 8. Men, equal responsibility, birth control. Fellas, help you go out with it. Number 9. This was a great one. I don't know, I didn't put a name on this one. Number 9, just a great overall relationship standard. I never feel like I'm walking on eggshells around him. I don't even need to say anything more to that. That is just golden. Don't get in a relationship ever where you're walking on eggshells. And number 10, I express gratitude for my partner. So this particular client was writing all her deal breakers as I statements because it highlights that all the things you want in a man, you have to show up and do as well. Yep, that's the thing about your deal breakers list. It has to be a description of you too. So she said, I appreciate my man regularly, and that highlights her deal breaker of her man expressing appreciation for her regularly. And I thought that was a really beautiful way to do it. That was client Aria. 10 deal breakers. I want your best one in the comments. Put it in the comments. What is your number 1 best, coolest deal breaker for healthy relationship that you hold as a standard for yourself and your man? Let me know in the comments. Hit the red subscribe button with the little bell.